New year, new angle. What do you mean it's the same year? Dude, The Gathering Storm is pretty sick. Welcome back, everybody. Oh, I didn't clap. It's like 9:30. It's still quiet hours in my apartment. I shouldn't have done that. Welcome back, everybody, to my channel. I have some big news. The last video I made, which was a commentary video about a very bad film called DeadCon, performed terribly. I didn't enjoy making it, and I don't really like it overall. So I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I made it with the expectation that I could share it on social media and people that I know personally would be able to watch it. I don't know a lot of Wheel of Time fans. I don't know a lot of big readers personally who would be interested in watching the videos that I make, so I thought, well, why don't I branch out a little bit and try something different? While I do think the final product turned out entertaining, I had such a terrible time making it, watching a bad movie 4 times on top of editing with it, and that whole process was a nightmare. So I'm gonna start pigeonholing myself. This channel is gonna be 3 things. This channel is going to be BookTube, which is gonna be like my main focus. But I'm also a film major and a filmmaker, so I have to also make video essays about movies that I enjoy. The second thing that that was already 2. Third thing I'll be doing is some political stuff, because I'm a very political person and I like talking about that stuff. I'm pretty far left, so I don't want to surprise anyone when I make a video about how maybe everyone should be able to live in a house. I know, radical. So, as I was saying, back to Wheel of Time. The Gathering Storm, I loved it. It's honestly the most I've enjoyed a Wheel of Time book since Fires of Heaven, which in my overall Wheel of Time video, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I gave Fires of Heaven a 4 out of 5. I want to retract that and give it a 5 out of 5. It's the only like mid-series book that I felt was a 5 out of 5 up to this point, because although Knife of Dreams slapped so hard, The Gathering Storm was even better, and I would give it another 5 out of 5. So you know I'm being legit when I say that. So let me get the big thing out of the way right off the bat. How was Sanderson's transition into being the helmsman of the writing of Wheel of Time? For the first 200 pages, it was noticeably different. I could tell just by the writing style. For example, Sanderson uses paragraphs, something Robert Jordan never really got the hang of. Oh, rest in peace, you beautiful man. I love you. Okay. I'm not criticizing Robert Jordan's writing ability. He was a fantastic writer with one of the greatest fantasy universes to ever exist. The dude just didn't like using the enter button on the keyboard. That's just the way it was. But by the end of the book, I wasn't even noticing that it was a different voice, that it was a different writer. Sanderson just kind of melded very naturally. There were a few things here and there where I really noticed that I wasn't reading Robert Jordan, but the big thing for me was that Sanderson still reveals things at a very consistent pace, similar to Robert Jordan. If Jordan had one thing that he was amazing at, it was pacing. Yeah, there's some slow points in the books, but I felt like everything he ever did was calculated, and Sanderson picks that up very nicely. A big thing I noticed of Sanderson's strengths was that he was great at getting inside of a character's head. Jordan was never really trying to be very omniscient as a narrator. He just used character movements to express how the characters felt in each of the scenes, as well as obviously the dialogue. But Sanderson did a good job of getting in the heads of the characters, really just concisely expressing how they felt about these situations. The one thing I did miss of Jordan's, I miss those scene descriptions. I know he gets a lot of flack for just going on and on about the banners that are on the walls, and they're not super important, but his imagery was what made the Wheel of Time come to life for me. And even if I skimmed them in the later books, they were still a really integral part of the stories. I enjoyed reading the scene descriptions. That was a bit lacking in this one, but that's fine. Another big issue that Sanderson just couldn't get from me was Rand's voice. I know where Rand is at in the story right now, but he doesn't talk like an edgy 13-year-old. It just didn't feel connected to the previous stories. It was consistent in itself, but compared to Knife of Dreams, Rand spoke like an entirely different character, and I think that if the cutoff for Jordan's authorship had ended with this one, where Rand is right now would make a lot more sense to have a different voice going forward. But it didn't, and the connection between Knife of Dreams and Gathering Storm was a little jarring only in Rand's voice. Also, I don't know if I've said this in any other videos, but Nynaeve is by far my favorite character. Nynaeve just kicks so much ass, and Lan is like top 3 characters for me. So I just love them, and I love their interactions. And Nynaeve in this book, she has become one of the most important Emond's Fielders. She always was. I mean, that's just the whole point of the story. But in this one, I really felt like Nynaeve got to be a full-on character and play that, like, super integral part in this story. I mean, obviously a few books ago with the big thing that happened with Nynaeve and Rand, that was also huge, but I feel like it was kind of put on the back burner until this book where she just came through. And I really got the notion that one of Sanderson's favorite characters is Nynaeve. It felt like she was getting the love that she really deserved. Not that Jordan didn't love his characters, it's just that he had so many that he felt the need to balance, that I feel like Sanderson was able to kind of take a step back and be like, oh, this book is about these characters, the next one's going to be about these, and the final one's about everyone. Now, I usually keep things spoiler-free in my reviews, which if you're going to read Wheel of Time, don't watch these anyway. This is more for a discussion with other people who have already read the books. But if you haven't read them, please don't watch this next part. I'm going to put a timestamp in the description. I'm still rambling because I want to give you ample time to skip past this part, because one of my favorite scenes in all of Wheel of Time, maybe even my favorite scene in all of Wheel of Time, happens smack in the middle of this book, and I don't want to spoil it for you. You need to experience it on your own at first. People who have read the stories, you know what I'm talking about, so if you haven't read them, please skip this part. Timestamp in the description. Just go ahead and time travel forward. It's really cool. Time traveling is cool. That was the dumbest thing I've ever said, but okay, you gone? Cool. All right. We all read the books here, right? We all know what I'm talking about here. Hinder's Tap. Hinder's Tap was the coolest shit I've ever read in my life. Dude, like, right smack in the middle of this behemoth of a book, there is a village where at night the villagers turn into zombie psychopaths who just are insatiably violent, and they kill newcomers to the village, and then the next morning they're also stuck in a time loop because they just wake up in their beds. I don't know if they actually like physically walk into their beds before sunrise, but like, that's amazing. The fact that it only got 50 pages is probably my least favorite thing about this book, because I could have spent years in Hinder's Tap. That could have been the new story, and I would have been just as happy. If you need a refresher, Mat and some of his Red Hand folks, generals, and a few of the soldiers, they stop in a small town where Mat is going to gamble and win some money. It's called Hinder's Tap, and right before sundown, he bets it all and wins everything, and the mayor just shoves them out of the tavern and is like, you have to leave now. And then they hear screaming inside the tavern right after the sun sets, and then everyone turns into a psychopath trying to kill Mat and the Red Hand people. And the next day, they end up talking to someone after surviving the ordeal, and they find out that at night, with the pattern being all wacky, they have to like lock everybody down because they've been turning into these insane, like they can't control themselves, and they wake up the next morning in their beds, and their blood disappears, and like everything resets. It's so cool. I wanted the rest of the book to be about Hinder's Tap, and I hope it comes back, and if it doesn't, it's still going to be one of my favorite parts of the series. I think every single one of the books, sometimes multiple times per book, has those just glowing moments that you just can't get over, and for me, it's Hinder's Tap in this one. Welcome back, time travelers. This is the timestamp. Welcome. I hope your trip was quick. although I think that's irrelevant when it comes to time travel. Now go read the books, because you shouldn't be watching this video to begin with. Stop. Read the books. Pick up Eye of the World. Libraries are opening up. They're probably going to close again in a week, but like, go get the books right now. Go get all of them and then read them in the next couple weeks. I'm one to talk. This book absolutely knocked it out of the park for me. Sanderson killed it. I wanted to pick up Towers of Midnight right after finishing Gathering Storm, but I was just kind of in a headspace where reading kind of started to feel like a chore to me. Even though I enjoyed every second of Gathering Storm, right at the very end I was like, okay, I just got to get through this. And even though I wanted to pick up Towers of Midnight in the same breath, I just felt like maybe I should read something a little shorter, something a little more satisfying in a brief amount of time. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but when I read too many long books in a row, I just kind of get fatigued. So, like I said, going forward with this channel, what I'm hoping to do is bounce back and forth every week. One week I will be going over a book that I've read, or just a video essay about a book series or books in general. Like, I still want to do a video about the importance of young adult literature. I really want to get that out because, again, every booktuber has to have that video. It's required at a certain point. And then on the off weeks, I would do a video essay, because even though that is a little more labor intensive, actually like comprehending the source material, obviously a 2-hour movie is going to take a lot less time than reading Wheel of Time for 16 hours. That's a little less of a commitment, I suppose, and that way I don't have to make a video about every book I've read. Like, I read A Street Cat Named Bob in like 2 days because Bob died, and that made me sad, and I read that book. It really wasn't that interesting, and I'm not going to make a whole video about that, but I felt like I needed to. So I had started writing one about it, and I just realized like this isn't going to be entertaining. So what I want to do is I want to go back and forth. So next week we're going to start that. I'm going to be talking about, I'm not going to call it my favorite movie because I have several favorite movies, but it is one of my favorite movies, and it is Swiss Army Man. So if you are that interested, make it like a book club or a movie club. Go ahead and go watch it this week. So next week when I'm talking about it, you can understand what I'm saying. It's fantastic. It's ridiculous, and be aware of that before you go into it. So yeah, hypothetically, I'd like to get to the point one day where I can do 2 videos a week. That would be awesome, but that's also really a lot of work to do. And so if you share this video, if you like this video, if you subscribe to me, just share this with other Wheel of Time fans, other readers, etc. I try to branch out and do stuff, but I am going to be keeping it pretty straightforward from now on. Please share this video with other people so it can become viable for me to put more effort and really focus on growing this channel. I would love to. I love doing this. This is so much fun for me, and it's given me such like a creative outlet during lockdown, and it's been fantastic. And I'm trying to get back to work here soon, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And obviously this isn't a viable source of income at this point. So please just share this video, let someone know about it, let Wheel of Time. If there's one thing I've learned about Wheel of Time, it's that people who love Wheel of Time love to talk about Wheel of Time. So share this with someone else. This is my first experience with Wheel of Time. It's hopefully entertaining, hopefully interesting. I love hearing other perspectives about the books, and so I hope that you do too. And I'm going to be doing other stuff too. Ignore the last video. I don't know what that was. Don't worry about it. So like I said, subscribe for more content like this. Like this video if you enjoyed it. And going forward, just look forward to posts once a week, hopefully. Anyway, love you all. Peace.